The diplomatic hall aboard the Zenith Dawn hummed with tension as representatives from 14 species gathered for the Galactic Council's emergency session. Ambassador Serenity Chen stood at the human delegation's podium, her dark eyes scanning the assembled aliens with practiced diplomacy. Beside her, Captain William Drake maintained his military posture, his jaw set as he listened to the Krillian ambassador's latest tirade. "Humans," Ambassador Zexer hissed, his crystalline scales refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns across the walls. "You speak of contributing to galactic security, yet your species has been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. My people crossed the void while your ancestors still crawled in caves." His mandibles clicked in what passed for Krillian laughter. "You are children playing with toys you don't understand." Serenity's fingers tightened imperceptibly on her datapad, but her voice remained steady. "Ambassador, humanity may be young to the galactic stage, but we've proven our proven—" Zexter interrupted, his 4 eyes focusing on her with predatory intensity. "You've proven nothing except an alarming tendency toward recklessness. The Krillian Empire has maintained order in the Outer Rim for 10,000 years. We don't need primitive mammals telling us how to handle the Voidwalker crisis." The Voidwalkers, extra-dimensional entities that had appeared 3 months ago, were tearing holes in reality itself, swallowing entire star systems. Every species had lost ships, colonies, entire worlds. The Council had been deadlocked for weeks on how to respond. Captain Drake leaned toward Serenity, whispering permission to speak freely, Ambassador. She gave him a subtle nod, though worry flickered in her eyes. William had a reputation for being ... direct. "Ambassador Zexter," William said, his voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. "With respect, your empire has lost 47 cruisers to the Voidwalkers in the past month alone. The Consortium has lost 32. The Harmony lost 18. He paused, letting the numbers sink in. "Humanity has lost 3. The Krillian scales darkened to an angry purple. "Because you cowards hide behind the battle lines. You send scouts while others fight." "We send scouts," William agreed, "because we learned something your species apparently hasn't in 10,000 years. Sometimes the best fight is the one you don't have to have." Before Zexthar could respond, alarms shrieked through the chamber. Holographic displays erupted to life, showing a Voidwalker tier opening less than half a light-year from their position. It was massive, larger than any previously recorded. "How long until it reaches us?" demanded the UL Cree representative, their gelatinous form quivering with fear. 17 minutes, announced the station's AI. "All ships are advised to begin evacuation procedures." Chaos erupted. Diplomats scrambled for their vessels. Through the viewing ports, Serenity could see ships beginning emergency launches, their drives flaring in panic as the space-time distortion grew, visibly a writhing wound in reality itself. Black and purple and wrong. The diplomatic station's engines were damaged in last week's meteor strike, William said quietly to Serenity. "We can't run." Zexter pushed past them, his entourage following. "The Krillian pride departs in 3 minutes. Perhaps you primitives should have brought a faster ship." His mandibles clicked mockingly, even as fear glistened in his eyes. Serenity watched the ambassadors retreating back, then turned to William. "The Dawn is a diplomatic vessel. We're not equipped for combat or evasive maneuvers against that thing. No, William agreed, his expression shifting into something that made Serenity recognize why he'd earned 3 medals for valor before transitioning to diplomatic security. But I have an idea. Computer. Shipwide announcement. His voice boomed through every corridor of the Zenith Dawn. This is Captain Drake. I need to know if there are any former Galactic cruiser pilots currently aboard this station. Any species, any fleet. Report to the main hangar immediately. Serenity blinked. William, what are you? Trust me, he said, already moving toward the hangar bay. And start coordinating evacuation pods. We're going to need every second. The hangar was chaos diplomats and staff rushing for escape vessels. But standing near the Dawn's auxiliary ships were 7 figures, a Krillian maintenance officer, 2 Yulkree navigators, a consortium pilot, a human mechanic, and 2 others Serenity didn't recognize. You flew cruisers, William demanded. The Krillian officer, younger than Zexther, with brighter scales, nodded sharply. Tactical division, 3 tours. Grounded after I lost my ship to a Voidwalker. Why were you grounded? William asked. Because I crashed it into the entity. It was the only way to close the tier. I survived in an escape pod. My commanders called it reckless. His scales flickered with shame and pride in equal measure. William's grin was fierce. That's exactly the kind of reckless I need. Here's the situation. We've got 12 one-man fighters in this hangar. They're diplomatic escorts, lightly armed, fast as hell. Every person who evacuates is 1 life saved. But everyone on this station won't make it off before that thing hits. You can't fight a Voidwalker with fighters, the Yulkree navigator said, though they moved toward the ships anyway. No, William agreed. But humanity learned something fighting in atmosphere before we ever touched space formation flying. Precision, trust. He pulled up a holographic display showing a complex flight pattern. The Voidwalkers destabilize when hit simultaneously from multiple vectors. We've tested it. Coordinated strikes can force them to contract, maybe even close. Maybe, the Krillian officer asked. Maybe, William confirmed. Or we all die trying while everyone else escapes. But that's more than they've got right now. 14 minutes until impact. The pilots, these refugees from different militaries, different species, grounded or retired or just unlucky enough to be aboard a diplomatic station, looked at each other. Then, without a word, they began moving toward the fighters. Serenity grabbed William's arm. You don't have to do this. Someone does, he said simply. And I spent 6 years flying rescue missions in the Kuiper Belt. I know how to thread a needle. He kissed her forehead quickly. Get everyone off this station, Ambassador. That's an order. She wanted to argue, to remind him that she technically outranked him in diplomatic situations. Instead, she nodded and ran for the command center. The fighters launched in a perfect formation. Something that should have been impossible with pilots from different fleets, different training, different species. But William's voice in their ears was steady, confident, walking them through the pattern. Remember, we're not trying to destroy it. We're trying to collapse it inward. Simultaneous strikes on the marked coordinates. Trust your instruments. Trust each other. The Voidwalker loomed ahead, a cosmic horror that made their instruments scream warnings. Behind them, the last evacuation ships cleared the station. On my mark, William said. 3, 2-1 mark. 12 fighters dove into synchronized attack patterns that seemed like a dance weaving, circling, striking with precision that defied the chaos of their formation. Energy bolts lanced into the tier from 14 different vectors simultaneously. The Voidwalker convulsed. Space-time rippled. For a moment, it seemed to grow larger, and Serenity's heart stopped as she watched from the fleeing command ship. Then it collapsed inward, folding into itself like a dying star, and was gone. 12 fighters emerged from the dissipating energy field. All 12. Later aboard the reformed diplomatic assembly, Zexter stood before Serenity and William. His scales had shifted to a subdued blue respect in Krillian culture. The Council, he said stiffly, has voted to accept humanity's proposal for integrated defense training. It seems we have much to learn from species who understand cooperation. William nodded. And we have much to learn from species with 10,000 years of experience, Ambassador. That's the point. We're stronger together. As the Krillian left, Serenity turned to William, eyebrows raised. Galactic cruiser pilots. He grinned. I figured anyone crazy enough to fly those death traps and survive would be crazy enough to follow me into a Voidwalker. And if no one had answered your call, his grin faded into something more serious. Then I would have gone alone and hoped I could buy enough time. He looked at her steadily. That's what humans do, Serenity. When everyone else is running, we're the ones who ask who's coming with me. She took his hand, squeezing gently. That's exactly why the galaxy needs us. Outside the viewing ports, the stars shone clear and bright, and somewhere in the void, 12 pilots from 12 different worlds carried a story that would echo through the Galactic Council for generations. The story of the day humanity taught the galaxy what cooperation truly meant.